fam, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. This is January 1st, 2024. We're going to talk about goal setting. And it's kind of like the hook, really. That's kind of like, okay, cool. Let's talk about goal setting because that's sexy. Everybody wants to, how do I set up goals and everything? But it's really just kind of like our trick to get you into the podcast, because we're going to get a lot deeper than that.
Yeah, for sure.
So hold on. It's going to be a good episode. This is something that we do on a regular basis when it comes down to putting ourselves in a space of accountability in terms of what our goals look like, what our vision looks like, and the overall wholesomeness, right, of everything that's required to stick with it. And I think the stickability factor is one of the biggest challenges that we can have when we're setting up goals. So with that being said, I want to welcome my co-host. Dun, 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 dun. Ow!
Nice.
I don't know what that was.
It was like an explosion. We'll go with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Justin Thorstad.
Thank you.
Justin, he's the man. If he can't do it, no one can. Go, Justin.
What a way to start the year.
I'm telling you, man. Fire. So let's break it down, right? Goal setting. It's usually this arbitrary thing that we just kind of, if any, we'll jot down on a piece of paper and say, okay, I want to travel to Thailand this year. That's a goal. I want to make $500,000 this year, and that's a goal. And sometimes you hit it, and then all you do is move the goalpost, right? So we're just kind of in this perpetual cycle of just kind of moving things along. But I feel like most of the time the tendency is to stay at a very superficial level.
Yeah.
And there's no I don't know how else to explain it, right?
There's no depth.
There's no depth, but there's no spirit to the goal.
It's just like a mental masturbation.
Right, exactly. It's like, I'm gonna hit this goal, and then boom, you may hit it if you have the drive and everything. But the bad thing about it is
that was exhausting.
Yeah, if you don't, it becomes this work behind it instead of this joyful and playful way of doing life, right? And I feel like if it's a long, challenging thing that you're gonna get to, like the journey is gonna be pretty. It's gonna be pretty tough, right?
Yeah,
it's a
grind.
It's a grind. It's a pain in the ass to wake yourself up every morning and then pep yourself up if you have to
cultivate
right?
that
as
energy.
Opposed to having something that's pulling you towards it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%, man. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I used to work. It's just get up and chug a bunch of coffee, suit up, show up, and just grind all day. And hey, man, I produced pretty good results in one area called business. But the rest of the areas, for me anyways, speaking from my own experience, the rest of the facets of my life are suffering. And man, it was such a grind to get up every damn morning. And then when some things shifted, and some things we're going to talk about how to create that in this episode, it's like that vision, those goals pulled me out of bed.
Yeah.
And I no longer had to stuff things inside to get energy, which is just an illusion anyways. Like I was expressing myself in such a way that energy was being released. And it's just a completely opposite state. And it's then when you're in motion throughout your day, that process in and of itself is the fulfillment. Yeah. It is the joy. And you stop working, but you play all day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a completely different state of being and energy. The energy behind the intent. That,
and you also stay in this state of productivity, like which to me, if I feel like I'm doing something that's not productive, it's like, man, dude, like I want to pull my hair out.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, here's the biggest thing. Like when you're working, especially for men, single mind focused. Men are most. It's like you have a target and you just go for it, and it's almost like you got blinders on. Yet when you're playing, you're creative, you're present, you're connected to the reality, yourself, the people you're with, engaging. That's when the highest and best can be unearthed and just appear for you because you're in that state of play, like a kid. You know what I'm saying? Versus spear, deer, kill. And you know what I mean? Just executing tasks all day long.
Yeah, it takes a certain degree of knowing yourself too. So it's actually one of the things that I want to get into. When it comes to goal setting, right? A lot of times we borrow goals from the world.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is okay, cool. Like people are setting their goals. They're like, okay, I want to have a fit body from here to the summer. I want to have a six pack. I want to have, X amount of money in the bank. And I feel like a lot of the times it can be borrowed goals. Why? Because they're there. They're kind of like the popular thing.
It's what I'm supposed to do.
It's what I'm supposed to do. On the scary side is lack of creativity. Right? And self-awareness of the actual stuff that we like.
Well, and if you think about it, if you're setting what I call those false choice goals, you're creating a life that's not even the one you want to live. It's the one you think you're supposed to, or, to get approval. And it's like, man, that's when midlife crisis happens, right? You wake up one day halfway through your life and you realize everything I've been going for isn't really what I wanted.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. The way I like to go about it, and I just did this actually, again, it's January 1st. So whenever you're listening to this podcast, this is day one of the year. We're sitting here because we have this intention that we operate behind, right? So the intention is leading all the actions, and then the goal is something else. So I sat down and I do this on a yearly basis. I actually just coached my students last week on this. But I like to start off with three goals that I think I want. Three things that I think I want, right? And it's just me, writing some, cool stuff on a paper. Three things. I want to go here. I want to travel here. I want to, make this amount of money. I want to, have this amount of time, or, whatever. But it's three goals. So just start with three. And I keep it simple, right? So pretty much what I'm doing at that point, I'm purging. Like I'm just getting it out of my system.
Brain dump.
Yeah, it's a brain dump from there to there. And then I start getting a lot more granular with things, right? The purpose, now understand that the purpose of a goal is to give you fire throughout, the year. If you're setting a goal for the year, it's to give you fire, it's to give you fuel, right? To wake up, to do the thing, and to keep you motivated. If that intrinsic motivation is not naturally there, if you're not, hyper by nature, a goal can have, very much the same effect because you're excited about it. You're tracking the wins. You're seeing it, the progress, right?
A true choice goal.
Yeah. A true choice. Exactly. So I like to reflect on after I set up, just kind of like the 3 points that I want to do. I like to reflect on a deeper sense, right, as to why those are. So, for example, if it's travel, I want to travel and I want to go to X place, and why do I want to, like, what's the reason of me wanting to go there, right? So I'll think about it, and then is it because I need an escape from work? Is it because I want to get all my family together? Is it because we have this certain, like, whenever we travel, there's a different energy behind it, like the family, different type of joy, right? Yeah. Right. So I love that aspect, but what's to say that we can't do that, more common, make that part of the regular basis.
Not have to travel to do it.
Exactly, to draw that experience. If we're just more intentional about it. Right?
So you get deep on the why do I even want this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So and then what happens, dude? For example, I remember this is a while back, right, when I set my first monetary goal. It's like, man, does it even, like, does it matter? Is it that important that I hit that particular number? Like, what is it? Is it outside validation that I'm looking for? Like, what am I gonna wear a T-shirt that says, okay, like this is the number that I have? Yeah. I did it. Yeah, exactly. And I started understanding, like, that's me trying to prove myself, that I'm worthy of this, or that I'm validating myself to a degree, right? But I was looking for that particular number. Now the number came and went and whatnot, right? But I understood that the bigger thing behind it was it's not about, like, the goal is arbitrary. The goal there, what I'm shooting for, once you hit it, right? If it's something that's outside of us, once we hit it, that drive, that fuel, that tenacity that the goal can give you, it starts to fade away. Oh, yeah. It starts to, like, dim down. Yeah. And then you have to find new fixes, new things. Yeah,
that are even bigger and better. It's like, but it's just more of the same.
Yeah, moving the goalpost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a dynamic that most people operate from, unfortunately, right? And I know I did too, just like you're saying, until a certain realization of if I'm always going for this thing external,
right?
Because it's in some form or rather validating, whether that's exterior validation or I validate myself of like, yeah, see, I can do it. It's like, that's the cue. That's the trigger to have the awareness of what makes me think I'm not already valid. I'm not already enough. Like, this is more of a process of unbecoming who you think you're not than it is becoming who you think you need to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what makes you think you're not already deserving, worthy, valid, enough?
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
So I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. Like, we have this right per se to feel valid, to feel worthy. Why? Because it's just we're beings.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of it. Now I think that the crafting, you know, goals based on a space that's looking for validation, it's looking for worthiness, it's looking for some type of acceptance, as opposed to I can thrive because, you know, I can
simply because I am.
Exactly.
It's like,
and you know, coming from a space of joy, I feel like when we create goals from a space of joy and success and contribution, and creating this bigger thing, you know, way bigger than us, right? I feel like those goals have a lot more meaning behind them. They may feel scarier because it often pushes us outside of our comfort zones.
Totally. Thank God.
However, I feel like that fuel is like fucking jet fuel, dude.
Yeah, it is. Well,
here's
how I look at it. Like, when you want to go for something big, and you know, you notice doubt creep in. Like, well, okay, who do I have to be in order to hit that? And it's more of a perspective of what makes me think that I'm not capable of doing that, or that I'm too insufficient, or that, like, why don't I go do it simply because I know that I can?
Yeah.
If I'm a conscious being and I have stories from my past, childhood, whatever, on why I'm not worthy, why I'm not deserving. It's like, those are going to be activated when I go for something that's bigger than how I see myself, what I'm capable of. Like, that's the goal right there, is to just go for it anyways, outside of your comfort, so that those stories can, like, get activated and you can hear them loud and clear, and then you can notice them. You can become aware of what you've been unaware of, that just because it runs naturally underneath your analytical awareness, and you get to identify it. And now you get to go be different, your natural state, in the face of it. And that takes some courage, man, because your body sometimes, because of the thoughts, drive how you feel like you're going to die if you move forward. Like, literally. I don't know if anyone's ever had that experience where you go for something big and you take a step, you open your mouth, you do something that's unlike your normal personality, and you do it anyways, and you're so terrified that maybe you freeze. But it's in that moment when you move forward that you realize you're not going to die, at least from that. And you get to have that experience of who you truly are. And it's like, if you're not doing that, then it's just all mental masturbation, and you're just messing with yourself. Like, it's insane.
It becomes a weekend activity for kicking off the year. Like that's
well, that's why, like, New Year's resolutions, like, I bet if you go to the gym tomorrow,
you might as well,
it's gonna be packed.
Grill some carne asada or something.
Exactly.
It's gonna have the same long-lasting effect.
Right. And then what is it, like, late January, mid-February, the gym is like empty again.
Oh, dude,
you know what I mean? It's like, what do you? And here's the funny thing to me: people that do that, set New Year's resolutions, and they just go for it, but the result that they're going for doesn't fit how they think and feel about themselves. It doesn't fit the self-image, and it's hard, and it's a grind, and it's forced obedience. So they quit.
Yeah.
But they keep starting every year.
Yeah.
Are you not noticing this, dude? Like, what are you doing?
So it's one of the things that I wanted to bring up too, right? Like, a lot of times we can get demoralized about creating goals or things that are going to move the needle to us. Even having those conversations or thinking about, okay, what am I in for this year, can be scary, because we failed in the past, because we weren't able to stick with things in the past.
What makes me think I can do it now? This year?
Yeah, exactly. So you know, sit with it and really give yourself some time to go through, you know, this thought process, you know, about what is the stuff that we want, right? Are the goals that I'm setting, are they just, are they arbitrary, or are they like, do they really mean something to me, right? Make it mean something, make it sting for you. So if you really don't, if you don't get to them, if you don't achieve them, like it's gonna hurt. And I'll give you guys an example here in a little bit of like one for me. One thing that I like to do is okay, cool. Like whenever that thought, like, oh no, man, like that sounds like a tough one. And if the I failed before, thing comes up, I go back and revisit it. I hold its hand and I sit with it. Like, all right, cool. Where did I go? Where did I lose motivation? The last time. What was it that I started doing? What habit did I lose, or what bad habit did I pick up? Mm-hmm. Right, that made me just get derailed from that goal that I had.
Yeah.
And be honest with yourself, right? Like self-honest is one of the biggest virtues we can have. Stop bullshitting yourself, right? And then have those hard conversations. A lot of times it's hard to have a hard conversation with somebody else, but I feel like it can be harder to have a hard conversation with ourselves, right?
Oh yeah.
And I'm not talking about beating yourself down and like,
no,
like, I'm a piece of crap because I didn't, whatever. Yeah. But having, coming from a space of honesty and okay, this is what I started doing. So I was doing really good until I started, I don't know, like watching Netflix from 10 to midnight. And then that throws off my morning, and then my morning throws off my midday, then the afternoon, and 3 p.m. I'm worthless, and that leaks into my afternoon gym time.
Yeah.
So you'll find things that connect, right? But have those self-awareness checkpoints. I mean, ask yourself where you get off. Last time, where did you get off track? What goals can you establish, right, to get back on track of the stuff that you want to do at one point, if it still fits?
Yeah, totally. So interesting to hear you say that, because my process is pretty similar, just different kind of words. And it's basically, before you set a new, like, let's take inventory, take stock of what is, right? Like, because otherwise you're just going to repeat mistakes. And so sitting down, and even if it is the 1st or the 15th of January, like, it doesn't matter. Sit down, and if you really want to know, like, where you hold yourself back, where you fall short, like, just have an honest conversation with yourself of just like ultimate ownership. Okay, if all the results that I have in this moment in time and all of last year are my results, I created them. Let's take an honest inventory of that. And like, to write it down, to articulate it to yourself in writing. Here's my result. This is what my bank account looks like compared to what I wanted it to look like. And maybe you won, maybe you didn't. What doesn't matter. Like, get the energy off of it. The self beat up, like, that doesn't work. In fact, here's what it does do. It ensures you're going to create more of the result you say you don't like. Like, what you resist persists, because what you don't like, what you're in resistance to, now becomes the object of your consciousness, and you're feeding it energy, and you're expecting a different result to happen. Like, you're just going to get more of that thing you don't like. So let go of the energy, neutralize it. Just, this is what is. Like,
right.
It's just a fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if you can document all that and then assess everything by looking at, okay, so what worked? What worked last year? How I was being, how I was thinking, like, where did I go right? So I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And then what didn't work? Like, what do I want to stop doing? And what do I want to start doing? Like, if you can answer those 3 questions from the premise of, here's my results with no energy on them, it's neutral, just, it is what it is, and I want to reassess myself so that I can make some adjustments in order to move forward. Now I can create, from a blank canvas, something new.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if I'm going into a blank canvas with doubt, self-beat up, worry, fear, scarcity, like lack, why do you think you're going to paint a masterpiece other than a masterpiece of shit? Like, it's you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's rough.
It's doing the same thing you did last year and the year before that over and over again, but you're expecting a different result. That's insane.
And that's what we mean by making goal setting become a weekend activity, right? How many people do you know out there that will do a vision board and then spend all this time to get excited over the weekend, like right before New Year's? Because I know plenty, right? Like,
and today you're nursing a hangover.
Yeah. So, well, no, and it's fine. Like, it's, I don't know, people have their joy. Like, it's everybody has their own lifestyle. So, so it's good. Just like what I'm saying is, don't set yourself up for failure. If you're gonna create this ideal version of the life that you want, and then you're gonna spend a weekend creating, thinking and this vision and kind of like mapping out the flow and getting excited about it, getting excited about that life that you really want, and then kicking it off on the wrong route, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're not clear about at least the goals.
Point B.
Yeah, exactly. We're exactly point B. The goals where you're headed to. Another thing, right? Like we evolve. The stuff that I want now has like it's nowhere near the stuff that I wanted 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The goals that I have now, they're nowhere near the goals that I had 10 years ago. A lot of times I feel like we sit down and we want to have like this overall clarity of everything, and it's like, no man, I want this big goal, and it's gonna happen I don't know, at the end of the year, or I want to be in this place in 3 years. And we start creating this big monster of a vision, right? It's tough to eat that big of a cake in one sitting, right?
I don't know, man. You can put it away, man. So
don't judge me. I said cake, not steak.
Cake, not tacos. Yes,
yeah,
right.
not tacos, bro.
Like,
challenge accepted. Taco Coma, man, they're the best. No, but it's ask yourself, like, at this point in this stage of my life, what do I really want, right? Yeah, ultimately, you may want the house on the beach. And all the luxuries and the exotic, whatever. But at this stage in your life, if you're in the middle of the grind, you're launching a business and you're going through the work, which I feel like the majority of our audience is in that space. Like what you really want, right? It's gonna be that next step. It's gonna be that next little win. It's gonna be that next thing that you can take and put in your pocket, know that it's yours, that you dominate it, and then use that as fuel for the next one, right?
Yeah.
So when we're setting up goals, just understand at this stage in your life, right, which is very different from the person you were 5 years ago, the person you were 10 years ago. Like what does this person right now really want, right?
Yeah.
And don't just look at the we're not unidimensional beings. Like we have many areas, we have many dimensions, right? So don't just look at the professional, or don't look at the travel goal. Don't look at look at everything in conjunction, because there has to be a counterbalance. Yeah. Right, between all those things, there's a play between the professional and then the relationships. There's a play between the spiritual and then the mindset and the health. Right, where do you want to be in those areas? I mean, I break down my stuff in 6 different sections. So I like to think about, okay, where do I want to, like, in these areas of my life, which we have relationships, we have mindset, we have personal growth, we have business, we have wealth. Spirituality is one of the things that I started focusing more this past year. So I have goals in all of those, and I go through the process of just asking myself, like, at this stage in my life, what do I really want about it? Right?
Yeah. Well, and real important too, when you identify what you really want and why you really want it. This is a step that I coach a lot of people on, and people, for whatever reason, think that it's insignificant and they just glaze right over it and move forward, and then are not successful all the time.
Yeah.
Yet the ones that actually take this coaching and implement it are always successful at creating the highest and best result. And it's even better than the result, what they initially articulated to themselves that would be the best. And so, they discovered now that dopamine, that hit of dopamine, you don't actually get that when you achieve that goal. It's actually something that is generated during the pursuit toward the goal. And so it's like, okay, however, we're a mass of biology. Are there ever times when you wake up, and for me, it's like when it's super overcast and cloudy outside and rainy, like I wake up and I'm just a little lethargic. Like I don't want to go out of the house. I just, you know what I mean? And so it's like, what are you going to do? Just like check out for the day? No. So how do you resource yourself to be forward moving, no matter the circumstances, no matter the environment? How do you trigger that dopamine rush? Okay, so you've got a clear intention of what you want to create and why. Yeah. And but I don't feel like it today. It's like you got to save you from yourself, resource you. So that vision board, The 90-day goals. I believe 90-day goals are the best kind of goals to have because.
And you use that on a regular basis. I mean, I've known you to use that for years.
In all of my companies, everyone does it.
90-day goals.
You know what I mean? It's like you can choose and choose out, but unless you require a break because you've been doing back to back 90-day sessions and you just want to breathe, there's no reason not to have goals. And so what I mean by that is like, okay, the 90-day goals. Like, why don't you set an intention 3 months out on when am I going to do these activities to move the needle forward towards my goal? Like, that's the only thing I can control is me. So what am I going to do? What's my behavior?
Yeah.
And when you get into action, that's when the dopamine kicks in. But the thing about it is like, if let's say one of the goals is physical, right? I want to release 25 pounds and have more energy, vitality, because, execution takes energy. So I'm going to go running, but I haven't ran in years. It's like when you get up in the morning, it's dark out, it's fucking freezing. You don't feel like running.
Yeah.
But you never feel like doing a thing until you're doing the thing. Like, just start. Take that first step, open the front door, and get your ass moving. And as you're in motion, you're like, oh, hey, this isn't that bad. This is kind of nice. I feel good. But, like, you got to have something staring you in the face where if you forget about your goals because you're just in a mood, you got in a fight with your spouse, whatever the case is, you get your teeth knocked in on a deal, whatever. Like, as you're moping around, you run into that reminder of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and who you really truly are, so you can mentally, emotionally rehearse that personality of knowing who you truly are. So like 90-day goals, I've got that shit on my bathroom mirror. And that's what I tell everybody to do, because twice a day, usually most people go brush their teeth at least twice a day. So first thing in the morning, you get to see it, and you have to look at that activity tracker and say, I'm not doing that today. And then instantly you know what's going to happen. Your mind's going to be like, you're full of shit. Like there's no value in not doing it. Why? What's going on? It gives you an opportunity to check in. Now, if you are in a good state and you're forward moving, be like, okay, what am I crushing today? Like, oh, thanks for the reminder. I would have forgot about that. So I'm on now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And vision board, like a picture says 1,000 words. Get something that's visual that you can remind yourself and place it in a place where you have to see it. Yeah. It's like, it's not an option. You're going to run into it. Maybe it's on the back of the front door. So as you leave for the day, you see it to remind yourself. It's so important to resource you. You got to save you from yourself, because sometimes you're a little insane. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes you don't feel like it. So I'm not able to stress that enough, how important it is to put things in your way where you have to run into it.
Yeah.
To resource yourself.
Yeah. It's and it's not that we're not, we have to remind ourselves of the road. Like that happens. If you get, sucked into the taskiness of the daily, right? Mm-hmm. It's easy to get into that taskiness for a whole week and forget about, my morning meditation, and that sort of thing. So like, there's going to be different things that pull you away from other things on the daily. And it's this becomes this constant battle when we're sitting. Okay. Isn't this crazy? When we're sitting down and creating goals, think about the level of clarity that we have. I was like, oh yeah, it's almost like this sense of euphoria hits you because you're feeling the goal. You're there. That's all you're thinking about. You're in a one-channel conversation right there with your goal. Then we close the notebook and everything, and then we go into the world, which has 1,000 channels. Yeah. Right?
All betting for your attention.
Exactly. All betting for it. And it's not that we can't gain clarity in the path that we want to walk. It's just that we forget about the clarity because it's not right there in front of us. Yeah. That's where, strategies like the one you're talking about come in handy, right? Yep. It's just reminders on the daily. Boom, boom, boom. I like in my phone, I have alarms throughout the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. Just like boom.
I remember 2010 when I was a realtor full time. I was just getting my teeth kicked in with commission, and I wanted to charge 3% on my side, but I was just inevitably, it was like 2.5, and I was just like, I need the business, so I guess I'll just take it. Yeah. And one day I was like, no, damn it, I want to be a professional. My fee is 3%. That's what I, Justin, charge. And so I got a vision board, and I found a big 3, and I put it on there, and then I got a packet of Post-it notes, and I wrote 3% on fucking a couple hundred, and I put them everywhere. Several of them in my car, on my desk, in my bedroom, in my bathroom, in my kitchen, on the refrigerator. You name it, there was a fucking 3% there. You know what I mean? And pretty soon, like by seeing that over and over and over again, like I started to, every time I'd see it, I started to connect to, yes, that's true. Yeah. That's fact. It just is. Like it'd be weird to not.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, it just started happening. And in fact, less and less people were asking me to take a cut because of my level of confidence was increasing. The energy of belief. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so important.
Well, that, and then there's also a very like true biological thing happening. Every time you're seeing that and you're thinking about, you're having that thought, you have a new neurological connection.
Yep.
Just boom, boom, firing in the same direction. Mm-hmm. And it's like building bridges, man. We have to build strong bridges. And every time we connect to an idea, it's like a little line on that bridge, right? It's like
neuroscience says neurons that fire together wire together.
Yeah, exactly. So it there's so much truth behind it besides the woo woo talk.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Like and
it's fact.
There's it's fact. It's there's an inherent truth about energy and how we go about things in the daily creates that energy, positive or negative energy. I mean, man, I can't tell you how many people I talk to, even family members. The first thing that's usually coming out of their mouth is something negative.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the end of the world, but it's negative in some. It has a hint, a hue, a little, something negative in it. It's like, shift that shit.
It's fear. It's fear-based.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it can be fear-based, and it can be like, bro, if you grew up in a puddle where the water is just, it's murky, that's all we're gonna see, right? We don't know there's clear. Waters.
It's the only point of reference.
Yeah, but it's the only point of reference, right? So, but we can break those patterns. I mean, we can break those patterns by doing stuff like this, being proactive. And if you want that clarity, if you want to see that clear water, put 3 all over the place. That's your clear water.
Yeah.
And then you're reminding yourself of that thing that you constantly want. I know a handful of people who have just, and in my opinion, an incredible sense of discipline. And they'll put an idea in their head. And it's like, bro, they just fucking become robots, right? A handful of people, maybe 1 for sure. And everybody else, like all the rest of the normal human beings, like me and you, and like, okay, cool. Like, all right. Yeah, I said I wasn't going to have any calories or whatever, but man, this cake looks good. I'll burn it in the morning. Right. And we need something to I need something to remind me of like the stuff like right now in terms of fitness and health. It's my son, dude. That little kid, like he's 17. He walks around the house with a fucking 6-pack shredded as shit. Like not yet, homie. So that motivates me, right? Like, and so whenever I want to go on a binge and just eat all the Mexican conchas and all the pastries.
It's true, ladies and gentlemen. He does that.
It's like, yeah, you know what? I still got a couple of years left to kick his ass. So you know what I mean? So that's a reminder for me.
Well, I want to hit on something real quick that you said though, because like, a lot of people, bro. And like 1, maybe 2 that's super disciplined.
I'm going to give him a shout out right now, actually. This kid is a fucking beast. Jesus Valdez. He's my daughter's boyfriend, actually.
Okay,
but
very
this,
cool.
he actually runs. He's running acquisitions for Pulse Capital. But he's so adamant. I've taken him to restaurants where like shit's really really good. I was like, no, I'm in the middle of 75 hard. I was like, really, you're not gonna like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
Like, and the level of discipline, like it's solid. This is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, but he's been like that since I've known him.
So, but one thing I wanted to point out is like, congrats, Jesus. Like that's amazing. And look how not duplicatable that is to have forced obedience. Now, let me just help everyone accomplish the same thing with a different.
I don't think it's forced obedience. I think like there's a few people who are just wired like that, right? Like it doesn't like it's a logical approach.
Yeah, I'm gonna explain. So, for example, last night, my honey, we were in the bedroom talking, having a conversation. She's in the closet, and she goes, basically something to the effect of like, I got to be careful, Justin, on what I pay attention to and set my mind to. She's like, because you'll stop at nothing until you get it. And it's like that tenacity. But here's the energy behind my intent when I decide a thing. I'm going to be trading a lot of time for it, this pursuit. So it better be worthy of me, and it better be a fuck ton of fun, or I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Like, because here's the deal. Like I asked you, hey, are we recording today? Because I was fucking around with my bonsais, dude. Like, and I'm in it, and I'm enjoying myself, and I'm mindfully, what's the word? Like, there's no thought, but total mindful. I know it sounds like a contradiction, but no, I'm just in a zone, and it's a flow state, and it's beautiful. It's blissful. It's elevated, and I'm happy. And so, like, if anyone interrupts me, maybe like, fuck off, like, you don't exist. You know what I mean? Because I'm just in it. Now, what if you could bring that state to everything you did? Because what you were doing in and of itself, that process was fulfilling, and you derived joy. Like, nobody would tell you how to do it. Nobody would tell you that you have to do it because you're already doing it spontaneously. You know what I mean? It's like, why can't people just operate that way in all areas of their life? It's just a misidentification.
It is. I think it's also demanding. Like, it demands a bigger, better version of ourselves, and it demands, I'm going to use the word sacrifice, because you're letting go of, like, some of the shit that doesn't serve you.
That sucks.
You know, exactly. But it's the shit that we know. Like, it's the stuff that we know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, behaviorally, we're very interesting, you know, specimens.
Oh, we're fascinating. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we know that there's something there that's hurting, and it's not serving us. It's not doing, you know, good for our future, or the vision, or the goals, and everything that we have, you know, set forth for us. Yet we won't move. We'll sit there and dwell on things, and take the victim role, and do all kinds of, like, creative stuff around that, just to prove us wrong, and not move into the space that's new, that has, you know, unlimited potential.
But that's the juice right there. That's the magic, as you call it, which I love. Is that if you think about it, like, our brains are wired perfectly for survival. Like, and not just to survive, but also thrive, right?
Yeah.
But we're hardwired to avoid danger so that we can survive. Yeah. And it's like, that's beautiful. Now, what if you just reframe the stories for your survival? Like, what does survival look like? Thriving?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to inspect those things. And I don't think that people become aware of those stories that they tell themselves that they don't really hear, but it's running, and it drives their behavior. It's like, if you're not in the fire burning a little bit, then you're not growing. Because what's burning? What part of you is burning away? It's just the insufficiencies of your ego, the id, as Freud says, right? Like, it's the unobserved part of the mind. Yeah. And if you're not in that fire, meaning like scared but moving forward anyways, then you're not really living your life, in my opinion. You're just going through the motions, just on rinse and repeat. And nothing new and beautiful is really going to transpire on a regular, frequent, consistent daily basis. And so it's like, if you're comfortable, then just take those hopes, wish, dreams, and just throw them in the fire, because it ain't going to happen. Like, stop fucking with yourself. You got to be willing to go through it. It's the only way to out. You know what I mean? And besides, no one's making it out alive. We're all going to die.
Bro.
Right? So, like, people are, like, tiptoeing through life, attempting to safely make it out alive.
Like,
you know what I mean? It's like, that's not happening.
I've said it a million times, I think, on podcasts and interviews and stuff like that. It's like, I refuse to walk carefully through life only to arrive safely at my death.
Yeah, like, you're already dead if you're doing that. Your heart, that when it stops beating, it's just a mere formality. You know what I mean?
If you're walking on eggshells through life, you're not doing yourself or anybody else a favor.
So goals, like, setting goals of, like, this is what I want, because the process in of itself is the fulfillment. Yeah. And, like, yes, go experience some cool shit. Like, that's what we're here to do, right? The human experience. But really checking into, as you said, Raph, which is so profoundly important, why do I want that? What is it that I think I'm going to get when I obtain it, achieve it? Because how do you derive that elevated emotion right now and bring that to the process, so that you actually want to be in motion? You actually want to be pursuing the thing, because that's where the magic is. That's the juice.
Yeah.
So get excited about your goals.
Yeah. It's again, goals are, the purpose of goals is to have the fuel for the vision, right?
Yeah.
So they're an element to the entire thing. Before we start signing off, man, I just want to do a recap. I know we covered a bunch of stuff, and there's
a lot of tangents.
I mean, we have like the attention span of a monkey.
Yeah, but you know what? It was all completely relative to, topical and relevant, excuse me, of like, here's what we learned in the process of going after goals. Like, and that you wouldn't know those things unless you have an experience of it.
Yeah, so I want to repackage kind of like some of the stuff that we covered and some of the stuff that we haven't covered yet. And into 6 different points. So again, I'm all about frameworks, man. Like it's when we have a framework, it's easier to go back to it and reference it, right?
When you can put any content you want into the framework.
Yeah, exactly. Linear thinkers. That's how we're wired. When we're going through the creative process, everything is convoluted. Everything's up in the air and whatnot. But when we're going through that logical process of setting stuff up, things are linear. Why? Because they have to make sense. So rule number 1, I guess, for goal setting is going to be start on the creative side. So get crazy with it. Don't be afraid to think big, right? Get crazy, get creative. I mean, throw spaghetti on the wall. Get excited about, get the thinking juices flowing. Yeah, get excited about the possibilities. And be creative. Don't be logical. Like, logical has no business on the first section of your goal setting. The exercise or time. No business in there. There's no logic in there.
Yeah, it's not your job to know how at this point.
Yeah. If you want to fly, I don't know if I can put on there that you want to fly by June, right? Or whatever. Like somehow, some way, you're going to get a rocket or something. And
pilot license?
Yeah, license. So you know what I mean? But it's about getting creative with it. The second portion, really, it's where the bells and whistles really come in, all the buttons and the levers and the logical portion of the goal setting, exercise really comes in, right? I remember I was in 4th grade, and I talked to this lady that came over to our class. She was a journalist, and she gave us the most, like, I asked her, like, how do you know what to ask? Like, when you're sitting in front of somebody, like, do you have, because I asked her, like, if she had a script or something. This is 4th grade, Mrs. Cepeda's class. It was an ESL class. So I asked.
That's English is second language for all of you that don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Why are you laughing, cabrón? That explains a lot. So 4th grade, I was in ESL. 3rd grade, I was still in school in Mexico, and so my first year in the United States, going to school and whatnot. So this lady comes over. She's whole conversation.
Man, I thought you were born here.
I was born here, but then I, for some reason, my mom decided to take me over to Mexico, and then I went to school in Mexico for the first 3 years. No, like her logic behind it was like, I want you to understand how to read Spanish and understand the culture.
That's fantastic, man.
So up to 3rd grade in Mexico, and then I went over to 4th grade elementary.
Oh, so cool! I didn't know that. Shit.
Yeah, ESL. And
anyways, the things you don't tell me.
Yeah, pretty much. So you don't know me, bro.
Clearly, I don't.
I'm full of surprises.
That's the truth.
This lady comes over, and then she's just giving us a talk, right, on what journalism is. And I think she was in she was in school, right? Like, she wasn't. So she had done some reports, but she wasn't this big, a big name or anything. But anyway, she gave me one of the frameworks that I think is the easiest way to break into any conversation, break into anything. It's a who, what, where, how, and why.
Okay.
So it's super simple, right? Yeah. Like that for a 4th grader to consume.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, think about the W questions. Like, I just go down the W questions, right? And what she meant by that is you can ask what, you can ask why questions, you can ask who questions, when, where, and how. Right. So if you go down that line, like, you're going to come up with a whole bunch of things to ask people. So just think, okay, what's a good, what question? Okay, what goal is good for me in this case, for me individually at this point, at this stage in my life, right? So if you're going through that self-discovery process of setting up your goals and you want to, get the creative juices flowing, this is a good exercise to roll into it.
And I would say asking yourself those questions when you answer them, not just in your head, but take a damn pen
Absolutely.
to paper, because you'd be shocked at what flushes out.
Yeah.
It really.
Write it down. So creative time is really, it's journaling time.
Yeah.
So what is a good goal for you? Why, which is the second one. Why is this good for you? So, and think about the stage of life that you're in. Think about the goals that you have for the next 90 days, right? Who will help you, who, not how. I mean, it's one of the biggest principles and most, I think it's one of the things that makes the most successes out there.
100%.
Collaboration.
Yep.
When will you begin working on the goal? Where will you start? And how will you reach your goal? Okay. So it's a simple framework of questioning, right?
That falls in line with the SMART goals: specific,
Yeah.
measurable, attainable, risk, and time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. So I go there, and this questionnaire. I use it to clarify what I want.
Yeah.
To okay, does that make sense? Okay, cool. Do I have the resources? Does it make sense? Okay, cool. Yes. Once I have that, I still do the SMART goal, which is the last step of the framework that I go over. So for SMART goals, you have goals have to be specific. So exactly what is it that you want to accomplish, right? Measurable. So you have to be able to track the progress, and it's crazy. For some goals, it may be that we may think that they're hard to track, but there's always something that you pinpoint to see whether or not you're making progress.
I got to say something real quick. So the last 90-day goals, one of my goals, because I have those 90-day activities, like this is what I'm going to do on these days to make progress. And this specific goal, it's like, wait, this doesn't even apply to my activity tracker. And I coach this shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this doesn't apply. I'm not going to put it on there. I'm like, no, wait a minute. Let me sit with it for a minute. And I did. And then I realized so many different things of like, oh yeah, I do need to block out time for this in order to make progress and get into action with that. And I mapped it all out. And guess what? It got fucking done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible. If you give yourself a little bit of space to think about these kinds of things, you'll find ways of tracking even the stuff that you think is not trackable. Yeah. I'll give you a case in point. This is the example that I was talking about when I mentioned, make a goal sting, right? If you don't reach it, make it sting. Like there's something there that's gonna kick you in the butt. For example, I got super heavy into the ops at the beginning of the year.
What?
First
Weird.
half. The 1972. No. So at the beginning, this year, this last year was crazy in terms of operations and building, right? Building. There was a lot of that.
You had a lot, yeah.
So what happened? The different areas of my life, the other areas that I was talking about, relationships, personal time, personal growth, fitness, health, all that stuff. Like they took a hit, right? So I got home, and this is probably mid-year. I got home one day, and I walk in, and this really hurt, dude. I walk in, and Diego's my youngest. He usually he's super excited about everything, right? Yeah. He's cool. And I walk in, and he wasn't distracted or anything, but he goes, "Hey, Dad," and then he just looks and he walks away, as opposed to "Hey, Dad, I'm happy you're home," right? Like that really stung, dude. I was like, fuck, man, am I that absent?
Shitty father.
Yes, exactly. Pretty much. And you know me.
No, you're not. Yeah,
dude,
furthest from the truth.
You know where I stand on that, right?
Oh yeah.
I was
committed.
And so it hit me. It's like, man, everything else that I'm doing is really taking a toll on this, like my relationship.
Glad you noticed it, man.
My kid. So it hit me. I was like, man, I didn't have to wait for January 1st. Right, I have to do something.
I'll start on the 1st.
Exactly. Now, one of my things that I got distracted. Not that I didn't know. I just I got distracted, and I forgot that I have to nurture that side of my. It
wasn't that you didn't care.
Yeah, counterbalance. My life, right? So I was like, all right, cool. And I started doing this thing with my kids where I have to do one-on-one time. I choose to do one-on-one time with them. So we spend time as a family, right? So we do things and everything. But whenever we're in a group, it's just a different energy, like with each one of them. Yeah. There's nothing like one-on-one time with the kids. So now I'll go out with my daughter, and then we will do dates where we go out for dinner and that sort of thing. We connect really good. And that's where we catch up. But it's different than that family setting where everybody just kind of mingling.
Yeah. I admire you for that, man.
And it's so much more intimate. Diego, for example, the youngest one, he has certain things that he likes to do. So I go okay, I'm gonna dive deeper into that. And then that one-on-one time with Alejandro, same thing. Date night is always a thing for me and my wife. Like it's for me, it's my way of going deeper into that one relationship. But I was neglecting that, you know, for the first half of the year, the better part of the year actually, until it hit me and it's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, but and that's okay, because it's like, look at the greatest teacher of all, Mother Nature. There's seasons. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's a season, as you say, hustle and grind's a season. There's a time when you've got to go plow the garden and plant some seeds. You know what I mean? Which means you're not doing something else. Like, and so working with yourself, however, being conscious about it all, aware. Yeah. And your family is, I guess, you could say, the best feedback of all.
1,000%,
if you're paying attention.
Yeah, 1,000%. So I mean, the cues are there if we pay attention to them, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, like that was one thing. Is like, man, this shit has to stop. Like, if I walk into the house, and I don't care if it was 1 day or 2 days, like it was something where the energy, like the dad energy level, like. At this rate, I'm not going to be on the Father's Hall of Fame. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not even Father of the Year. Okay?
Yeah. I'm not getting my trophy at the end of the year, like if I keep shit like this. So I went into it, and so I made that, I turned that into an actual goal. I was like, all right, cool. I have to figure out my time here on the business side and then increase the time on the one-on-one time, because it wasn't a thing before it hit me in the, you know, smacked me in the face.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was a goal. So what happens? Like I see the change. Like I see the excitement when I get home. Now things are different. Why? Because that connection is stronger.
Yeah.
Not because they don't care, they love me any less. It's just that connection, that excitement about, okay, dad's home. Like shit, it's a good thing, as opposed to, oh, okay, cool, dad's home, I'm gonna eat tomorrow. You know. So it may, I don't know, may sound crazy.
No.
But there's still ways to pay attention to certain things and measure your progress. Like, all right, cool, I'm at least on the right road.
Yeah.
You know, towards, you know, success on that particular goal. So, and then so that why the W framework helps me clarify the goal and figure out like whether or not it fits. And then the SMART goals, as we're going through it, you know, they have to be measurable. The A is going to be action oriented. So there's always something that has to be done. You're going to have to take action. You can't sit there and meditate about everything. Like this is where the you know, the buttons and the levers come in. I have to do this to have this result, right?
And by the way, if you're a Rafael Cortez fan, I want to just make something abundantly clear. Like, it's a best guess, your strategy to win. Like, you never know how it's going to truly unfold. Yeah. What he's talking about is at least have an idea of what you're going to do that's forward moving. However, that direct action does not always mean that you're going to get a direct reaction from the action. Like it'll come in a different way.
Yeah.
But you've got to be in motion because you only get what you put out.
Yeah, we have.
That didn't sound right. I want to clarify that real quick.
You mean the putting out part?
Yeah. So that doesn't mean that if your output is higher, then what you receive is higher. Yeah. It's not a direct correlation. That's matter to matter. What I'm saying is that, like you said, you can't just sit on the couch all day and meditate and expect like a huge windfall of abundance. Like you've got to be out there connecting with people in motion, but your strategy is a best guess. Like you don't know what's really going to work, especially if you've never accomplished that or experienced it before. What the hell do you know? Yeah. But you got to have at least some action planned out.
It's your cost to the effect, right? Now, one thing to consider after the effect is the ripple effects. A lot of times we don't see them right there and then.
Oh, yeah.
But for example, in our industry, like the ripple effects
is everything.
Can come in 6 months later and then give you that result that you were looking for in the first place. So action oriented. The R in the SMART is going to be realistic and relevant.
What? No, like, risk. Realistic.
Okay.
I want a realistic life. What the? Who ever said that?
All right, bear with me here. I think, and this is actually a love and hate relationship with Justin, you know, that we have in this particular topic, right? But I feel like there has to be. It's got to be relevant for sure, like relevant to the lifestyle and the
realistic is the part,
the path that you want to walk, and realistic, like it's
such a dirty word.
For example, I mean, if you're deep in the hole and you have absolutely no understanding as to how to proceed and move forward, and you want to have results tomorrow. Like there's probably more than likely some legwork that you're gonna have to put into it. There's gonna be some growth. Of
course.
You're gonna have to do the work.
Yeah.
Right. So give yourself time for that to flourish. Like don't expect things to happen. Like the overnight success.
Totally.
It never happens. You know what I mean?
I don't disagree with that one bit. What I'm saying is that, like, if you focus on realistic, that's what you're going to have, in my opinion, because the energy behind the intention. So when I say risk, what I say is like, okay, I know I can reach and grab this, but my reach should always exceed my grasp. So what's a risk for me? It's risky in the sense of like, I may not get it, and that's scary to not. You know what I mean? Like, what would really push me a little bit just outside that comfort zone that's known and predictable? Yeah. Because I have the results I have because I'm being comfortable. So let me get outside of that. What's a risk?
I like it.
It's a stretch.
I like it. A stretch.
Yeah.
And then we have time based. So the T is time based. Give yourself a deadline. If you give yourself 3 days to clean a room, it's gonna take you 3 days. If you give yourself 5 minutes to clean a room, it's gonna take you 5 minutes to clean a room.
Right.
Yeah. Give yourself a timeline for when you want that to happen. Right. So that's the smart portion of it. So I mean, there's different facets to building, and I mean building, creating goals, right? There's a lot of things that we have to look into. Again, if you put something arbitrary on it, that once you reach it, like the drive, the tenacity, the fire, the fuel, the jet fuel to keep moving forward is going to go away. More than likely, it's a very superficial goal. Yeah. The stuff that really moves the needle, if you want to change, where you're at in life right now, if you want to grow from the space that you're in as an individual, as a professional, as a father, as a mother, as a friend, you have to stretch the limits. Yeah. I mean, you have to put yourself out there and risk it, really, because it's anytime we do that, by definition, we're breaking the boundaries of our comfort zone and tapping into this bigger version of ourselves.
Well, and if you're not risking it, right, then you're not putting yourself out there. What are you learning that's new? Where's the stimulation? Where's the excitement? Where's the thrill of like, I'm alive right now in this moment? Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, ugh.
One thing that I brought up a while back too is
being realistic,
Oh, all right, risk. Okay, we'll say risk. But I feel like we're on the same tone on that. It's not so yeah. It's about stretching, right? It's about going beyond what you currently know. And having an understanding, like there's going to be ways of operating, but don't be demoralized whenever you don't reach that, I don't know, like $500,000 in a week or in a month. Like it's
especially if you haven't made 100,000 in a year yet. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, so anyways, that's where it taps into. Now when we hit a goal, and here's the thing, like if you're setting up goals and you're not risking yourself or stretching beyond your boundaries, all you're doing is you're repeating a process that you maybe, like if you hit a goal last year, right, and you're not stretching from it, you're not reaching beyond that goal, it's not a goal anymore. It's a process that you're just going over again.
Yeah. So real quick on the risk too, is like this is why it's so profoundly important for people to understand is that if you're not putting yourself out there and it's not a risk to you, like when you say the goal out loud to somebody else, if you don't get a little nauseous of like, oh, or your butt puckers, you know what I mean? Like that means then, if you're not doing that, that means then you're always going to be operating from what you already know. That's comfortable. Yeah. So because you have an experience of it. And then what are you expecting to be different in your reality if you're operating from the past? You're just going to create more of the same. Yeah. And so if you want to create bigger, better results, you got to risk out there. And by the way, you also get to check in with what's so risky and why do I think I'm going to die? Like it's just mental masturbation and it's an illusion. Let's get our ass on fire, get moving. Like pick up your skirt, take a swig of Gatorade and go.
You got to risk it to get the biscuit.
There you go, man.
There you go. That's the smartest thing I've said the entire time, I think.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And last but not least, and I'll recap on all of them here before we sign off again.
I thought this was a recap.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a shorter recap, just so we outlined.
I'll give her my recap. If
the principle. Yeah. Let me add this one thing. So like once you have all that stuff figured out, right? It may feel like a lot of things, but it's really not. I mean, it's a handful of things that you have to do to clarify your thought, and then another, 2 things that you have to do to kind of, clarify the process of getting there. But I learned this one from Sean Terry, actually. My original mentor when it comes to real estate and wholesaling and a lot of stuff that I'm doing now. It's but he would do a January letter. So January letter dated for January 2025 in this case.
Okay.
So and the entire thing would begin I'm so happy and excited now that my income is X. Now that my relationships are here. Now that, this and that. So he would write, like he actually still does this. So he creates a January letter for himself.
Yeah, it's a Bob Proctor thing, yeah.
Yeah, so I got it from, exactly. After that, I figured out it was a Proctor thing, but that's, I first saw it with Sean. And it's interesting because it almost feels weird.
Yeah, and that's the point, by the way.
To write it down, I was like, why am I writing this down?
Yeah.
Like it's future tense, but what happens is it's pretty interesting because you start to get comfortable with the idea of it.
Yep.
Now
you're getting it to fit.
Yeah, think about this for a second, right? If we're not even comfortable with the idea of our own goals, like how are we going to accomplish our own goals? Like you have to own them, man. Like you have to almost have this like degree of cockiness to your goals because it's set and done.
Yeah. So yeah. Here's my process. I sit down and just ultimate ownership, self-assessment. What did I create in this last year? And what worked? What didn't work? What I want to keep doing, start doing, stop doing, and neutralize all that energy. Like it's just a statement. It's a fact. This is what is. And now it's like, okay, now that I'm not carrying around any more baggage from what didn't happen or what I didn't do or where I chickened out or any of that kind of BS, which I don't anymore. It's like, okay, now from a neutral state, not in resistance, I can go create something in my imagination. Like you got to conceive the idea, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like writing it down. And I use the exact same process because that's what Bobby taught me. It's like,
Bobby?
Yeah. And then Joe Dispenza. Like, I don't know how many episodes I've said this. Dr. Joe Dispenza? No. Bob Proctor.
I know, I'm messing with you.
Yeah, shut up.
Wow.
So,
he hasn't figured it out, guys.
It's about, like, if you want to accomplish something, you want to experience something, you want to manifest it, you want to create it, you've got to know what it feels like energetically to experience that result. You got to train the mind and body. You got to mentally rehearse that future success as if it's happening now. And the best way to do that is to write out that letter. And people say it different ways. It doesn't really matter. All paths lead to home. But mine starts with, yes, I'm standing in, for example, I'm almost done with my 2024. I don't have to have it done by the fucking first. I get it done when it comes through me and it's well articulated and I can connect with it in such a way that like it's the highest and best and it resonates with me. And so it's standing in December 31st, 2024, and I'm looking at my year in review. And I'm talking about what I'm so grateful that I experienced, accomplished, achieved, and obtained. And it starts with, I'm so happy and grateful that. And I got rid of the word now that, because it's like, it's not that I'm not able to feel those things until, it's that it already has happened. You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyways, and I'm writing every facet of life, from my state of being, my personality, what it transformed into, my relationships, both with myself, first and foremost, with my spouse, with my kids, with my friends, with my tribe, all of that. And then in my business, what did I create? What does it look like? Why? And then into the health and the wealth, all of it. Like, don't leave any stone unturned. Document it all as if it's already happened, because it's the only way for you to give yourself an opportunity to connect to that future as if it's already happened, so that you can get it to fit the self-image. And the key is, if you do this exercise and you read the damn thing every day, because you put it on your bathroom mirror, every time you read it, you'll notice the mind saying, you're so full of shit, you didn't do that. Who are you to think of? That's the point. Because if you don't become aware of what you're unaware of that's running your behavior, you'll never be different. And so you have to notice those things, reframe them by firing new thoughts in new ways over and over and over again, because neurons that fire together wire together, and you're slowly but surely changing that self-image.
Yeah.
Remember when I lost all that weight? Like, that's how it happened. It wasn't from going to the gym for an hour in a day and eating fucking lettuce and air. Like, it was from changing how I felt about myself and the version of me that I knew was possible.
Yeah.
And being that future self in the moment.
Yeah.
So anyways, and then taking that annual vision, now break it down into bite-sized pieces, 90 days.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make that much money. Great, divide it by 4. That's the 90-day goal. I don't know how to do that. It's not your job to know how. Your job is to know what action can I take that taking the action in and of itself is fun and fulfilling, and I derive joy from doing it. Because then nobody has to tell me to do it. I'm already doing it.
As you're talking about it right now, I feel the energy behind it. Like your physical energy behind it.
Oh, dude, this is
there has to be energy behind the stuff that we talk about, especially when it comes to goal setting. This is the path that we're getting ourselves ready to walk.
Yeah.
Over the next X amount of time.
Yeah, and if you're not excited, like, don't even fucking get started.
Yeah, exactly.
So my inner nerd comes out when it comes to vision and 90-day goals. Like, I'm so dialed in with that stuff. I love supporting people with it as well. Like, show me your goals, and I'll help you word them in such a way that they're going to get done if you're committed to you.
Call Justin. He always gives his phone number at the end of the podcast.
Yeah, you can email. Smoke signal, homing pigeon. I don't care.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, so really good stuff, dude.
Yeah, man. I could go on for hours on that.
Conversation. Yeah. I think. I mean, actually, this one we went way past the. The allotted time. But it's really good.
You know what? It's a topic that deserves.
It does. It does deserve attention. I feel like we can, go on for a long time on this. I like it that it's the first of the year and we're kicking it off with a bang here.
Yeah.
On stuff.
Look, we're demonstrating by example. No one has to tell us to come in and record. It's something we enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In such a way, there's nobody here. Yeah. There's nobody out there. Like, it's just what we do. It's what we do.
Exactly. It's what we do. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that pans out. Follow those steps. I mean, we talked about the structure. Go back and replay this episode. If you need to take notes, I suggest you take notes. Because a lot of it is pragmatic, right? It's steps that go into it. But after we have that idea of the framework, like, man, we can really play. We can be playful with the ideas that come about. We can be playful with the type of life that we want to create, that we want to craft. It's not far-fetched. It's not. It's really not.
No.
It's not far. All we have to do is have the awareness that we can do it. Have a little bit of self-faith and fucking risk it.
Set that clear intention.
Yeah.
Back it with the elevated emotions of experience it, and go have fun.
Yeah, go have fun. So with that being said, welcome to 2024. Thank you, everybody. Last year was an amazing year for us. It's actually the year we kicked off the Mindset Monday podcast, the episodes, right?
Yeah,
and so yeah. And I mean, it's been a blast, man. I think every episode is like has its own power, its own energy. I love the comments after the fact. And everything that comes along with it, right? The self-awareness, the ability to stand and hold that space is also huge, right? Yeah. So with that being said, I'm grateful for the Mindset Monday podcast and the episodes, the series. I'm grateful for you being part of this. I can't think of a better partner to go, with me to town on these topics and conversations. And I think this year is going to be fucking amazing, dude.
Absolutely,
Can't
man.
wait.
Well, I'm super grateful for you coming up with the idea and giving the opportunity and asking me to be a part of this, because there's nothing I would rather be doing. So thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Family. So there you go. There you have it. Set up your year. Set up your year right. Think about who you are at this stage in your life, and develop and create based off of that, right? With that being said, Justin, where can somebody get a hold of you?
Yeah, my cell phone, 602-348-8534. Text me, call me, show me your vision, give me your goals. I'll coach you, support you through that process. It's what I love to do. Or my email, justin@libertasrealestate.com, justinthorstad.com, YouTube at Mindset Coach JT, Facebook and Instagram.
Are you still doing that OnlyFans thing with the toes?
What?
No? You canceled that account? Good call.
Bro, that was your other friend.
With that being said, fam, do us a favor. If you enjoy the conversations we have with you and for you every single Monday, don't forget to like, share, and send this out to somebody you think might benefit from our conversations, right? At the end of the day, it's a two-way street. We're here for you guys. And the whole thing behind this is empowerment, right? Empowering entrepreneurship. And I feel like that's the right way to do it. So help us do it. Spread the word. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay focused. You got this. Bam! Let's go!